Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Married Man Ministry. This is Pastor Vince Taylor Sr., and what we do here, we believe in marriage. We believe that marriage is honorable, and we believe that marriage should be respected. And we want you to do everything you can possibly do to keep your marriage together. So get ready for another exciting learning program, and always remember, I am the married man. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pastor Vince Taylor Sr., also known as the Married Man. And you know, over the last 5 sessions, we've been talking about what to do when storms show up in your marriage. And what do you do when you get hit by a sudden, unexpected storm in your life, like the loss of a job, a major illness or death of a loved one, a rebellious teenager, infidelity? Do you abandon ship? Do you run away? What do you do? What do you do when you are hit by one storm after another? Well, that is what happened to the couple we will be interviewing today. It's just like what happened here in Florida in 2004 when we were hit by 4 hurricanes in less than 2 months. So as we continue our discussion on what to do when storms show up in your marriage, today, you're going to hear the true story from Marcus and Rosie Moore as we welcome them to the Married Man Show, and they discuss how they journeyed into the eye of a hurricane. So, Marcus and Rosie, would you say hello to our audience today?
Thank you for having us, Pastor.
Glad to be here.
Absolutely. We are so grateful that you are joining us, and you have a story that's going to help and bless a lot of people. I am absolutely certain of that. Now, Rosie, I understand that you are a blended family. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, I had 2 previous children from another marriage, and then we have our son, Caleb.
And what was the biggest challenge with being a part of a blended family? Marcus, why don't you answer that one for me?
Well, being a child of a step family myself, growing up, to be honest with you, I wanted to avoid that before I was even going into marriage, but the Lord saw it different. But because I knew there would be a lot of challenges. I knew that I had a certain amount of disagreements with my stepfather over the years, and I had a hard time accepting him as a father or an authority figure in my life. So I encountered some of those same issues with Christopher, who's Rosie's son, oldest, and he was struggling, with me being in the house. Initially there was a honeymoon period, and then that kind of lapsed, and then some of the real stuff started coming out. Initially, I took it with a grain of salt, a lot of prayer, tried to hold my tongue as much as possible, but there were moments when I did get into some conflict with him, some verbal conflict. But overall, I kept the peace as much as I could, and, we survived it. We have a good relationship today.
That's great. Well, one of the things that I have advised people on in the past when considering being a part of a blended family is I have instructed them or counseled them to try to build a relationship with the children prior to marriage. The second thing was come to an agreement on how you're going to run the house together, which would include things like what chores are the kids going to have, and adults as well as that goes, rules, church, homework, and even discipline, which can always be a touchy subject when you're dealing with children that are not your biological children. And the third thing was always present a united front. In this way, you don't go in, especially as the new man in the house, being the big bad wolf. So you survived that storm of a blended family, and then you decided that you wanted to have children together. Rosie, what was that storm like?
It was interesting because I apparently thought I could just get pregnant really quick, and unfortunately my body must have forgotten what it was like, and we spent probably almost 2 years trying before we sought medical attention, and then the medical attention really got me too stressed out with all the different tests and treatments and medications they wanted you to take, and I just decided that I didn't want to do that anymore. And the doctor said, well, you realize without us, you can't get pregnant. And I said, well, so be it. And then we just got pregnant like a few months after that. And I believe truly that it was God that did the miracle in my life to be able to have that happen.
Wow, that's fantastic. So now you're pregnant. And Marcus, what was your reaction when she told you?
I was very happy, very elated. She sent me a text message when I was at work, showed me the test, through the test that she had taken. And yeah, I'm like, wow, I'm going to be a father. It blew me away. I never really pictured myself being a father. So yeah, I was very happy about it.
As you should be. I think everybody should be happy, especially when you're married and you're trying to have a child and you do have the words that come back, you're pregnant. That's great. So you go to a doctor's visit, you get hospitalized for 2 weeks. And what news did you get eventually? Rosie, can you bring us up to speed on that?
Well, as everybody has trials through the pregnancy of different symptoms and things, they discovered that my blood pressure was very high. It was at stroke level, which was rare for me because I was usually the 90 over 50, are you alive kind of person. And it was at stroke level to the point where they said, you need to be hospitalized. And I was hospitalized 3 times. The third time they said, I had gone to see a specialist, and he said, hello, my name is Dr. So-and-so, and I just want to let you know that you are going to be in the hospital until the rest of the pregnancy is done. And I thought, for 13 weeks? And he said, I'm going to give you 2. This is severe. He said, it's not just your blood pressure. There was a reverse blood flow in the placenta to the baby, which is the only way that the baby can get nutrients. And it seemed that when my blood pressure was controlled, he was not getting the blood volume pushing the nutrients to him. And when my blood pressure was high, of course, he was getting the nutrients. So they had quite a dilemma because either the passenger or the bus, as they say, was not going to survive the pregnancy. And their goal was, of course, to not have me die or have him die.
Wow.
So it was a very tricky situation.
Absolutely. Marcus, what we're talking about, just to remind everybody, we're talking about what to do when storms enter your life. And we're speaking with Marcus and Rosie Moore today about how they survived. And I'm going to categorize this as a level 5 hurricane. And Marcus, what were you feeling and thinking at that point when you were basically given options as to who was going to survive?
Well, I tried to take it all in just little by little. I mean, my first priority was just to comfort Rosie because she was obviously very, very devastated by the news about this and the baby. And so with my background and just what I had been through, I'm a survivor, and I kind of have just, all my life I've just rolled with the punches. And then, being a Christian, I just relied upon the Lord as much as I could. But my main focus was just trying to keep Rosie calm about it, trying to alleviate her stress, her anxiety about it, doing what I can to be there for her during that time.
Rosie, tell us about the birth of the baby and little Caleb at this point.
When he was born, they had to do an emergency C-section. I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, and nothing was really happening. I just thought, well, Marcus has been here every night, so I sent him home that night because I said, well, nothing's happening, just go home. And at about 4:30, they woke me up and flipped me over like a pancake, and they said, get on your side. They started IVs. They put oxygen. I was like, what's going on? And they said, the baby's in trouble, and we've got to get his oxygen up. And none of that worked. And they said, we're taking him now. And I said, oh my gosh. And all I can think about was I grabbed my cell phone and I called him. And because he worked early, he was actually on his way to work. And I just was able to tell him they're taking the baby now. And then he just turned around and headed to the hospital. But they weren't going to let him in the room anyway. But I pretty much don't remember anything after that because I was kind of out of it for like a day or two.
Marcus, you weren't out of it. What was the hardest part for you?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, she got on the cell phone. She called me, and I was like, I just cried out to the Lord. Why? Why? Just asking God why. Just trying to, get rid of the raw emotion initially, and just, head over there. But the hardest part, geez, I don't know. It seemed like the whole thing was the hardest part. Just going there and seeing her. When I did initially get to the hospital, they wouldn't let me see her right away. She was in surgery. And so I never, got a chance to, obviously didn't see the procedure, didn't really see what was happening. But eventually they brought me in and she came out just right out of surgery. She was completely out of it. So that was tough seeing her like that and seeing her, like she looked like she was on death's door, And she was, she wasn't. She was under medication and stuff. And then going in, maybe about a couple hours later, they let me see Caleb. And just seeing him for the first time, I was like, nothing can prepare you for seeing your child in that isolette with all those wires, all those tubes, and so tiny. Only 1 pound, 10 ounces. He was just so tiny. It was, very, I couldn't really equate him with being like a baby. And I was just like in shock. So that was hard. And it just took a lot of just taking it moment by moment. And then when I went back to the room, Rosie eventually woke up and we talked a little bit about it. I helped her take a shower. And she defied the odds, and I don't know, what was it, like 6 hours, few hours, 4 hours, 5 hours later?
No, it was the next day.
It was the next day, so it's all blurred now, but she went, we took her in to see Caleb. So then we just saw, we realized that this happens all the time, the NICU babies. There was many other babies there. Some were in other isolates, like within a few feet of Caleb's isolate. So it was, with me, I'm a survivor. Like I said, I'm a survivor. I just took it in moment by moment. A lot of prayer, a lot of just, this is in your hands, Lord. It's completely out of your control. You feel completely helpless. Nothing you can really do.
It gives me room to pause. Did you say the baby weighed 1 pound and how many ounces?
1 pound, 10 ounces. I mean, he was just a toothpick.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to need to stay with us on the next program as we conclude the story for Marcus and Rose Moore. And we are discussing, remember, when tragedies hit your marriage. What a great story. Until next time, I am the Married Man.
Thanks for tuning in today to The Married Man. Married Man Ministry is a component of Majestic Marriage and Family Ministries, and we are dedicated to doing everything possible to help you keep your marriage together. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization. If you'd like to learn more about Married Man, please go to our website,